What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another breakdown. Today, we're taking a closer look at Jalen Rose and Draymond Green both criticizing Stephen A. Smith and why so many people around basketball media have had him under the microscope over the past several years. There's a lot we could get into because Stephen A. has shared strong opinions about countless people, including his own New York Knicks, who recently captured a championship. But we're not going to revisit all of that today. Instead, we're focusing on the Jaylen Brown situation and how it ties into what happened with Kyrie Irving and Russell Westbrook. Let's start with Jaylen Brown. At one point, Brown publicly defended Kyrie Irving, and that's when many fans began noticing what they believed was a recurring pattern. People started saying that Stephen A. appeared to direct more criticism towards certain players than others. Kyrie is one example that often comes up. There were reports that a commercial recognizing him among the NBA's top 75 players of all time was being discussed, but that recognition reportedly never happened because of everything surrounding him at the time. Then the attention shifted to Jaylen Brown after he was left off Team USA, along with public commentary suggesting he wasn't quite on that level. That's when the conversation reportedly gained even more momentum. That's the same pattern Jemele Hill and Draymond Green were referring to when they discussed Stephen A. Smith and some of the narratives connected to the television shows he appears on. Because he's viewed as one of the biggest voices in basketball media, arguably the face of that entire space, many critics believed it was time to question the consistency of those discussions. And he's far from the only person who has faced that level of scrutiny. Just look at the Russell Westbrook situation, especially the debate surrounding why many people felt his suspension should have lasted longer. So let's rewind the timeline and take a closer look at exactly what happened.
And he found it. He also said, called the league office the other day, and this one, Gilly posted this, and this one hurt my soul, man. Like, he called the league office to see why Russell Westbrook was suspended. And that just don't sit right with me. And he's a journalist, he needs information. That was just weak to me. So we're gonna get to Jaylen Rose in a second, because that's another friend of the program. But Jack, Stephen A. Smith of late, what's going on with our guy, man?
You don't work for the league. What make you think you got the power to call and get somebody suspended? So yeah. You opening more doors to thinking now, okay, the times where you done went on TV and spoke bad about me and other players, you called and put your vote in to get people suspended. That's what you saying? Like that's crazy that you would openly say that. And hold on, my little brother, I love you to death, but you agree with that, Perk, and you a player. You know better than that. Just imagine if you was playing and he called the league. When you got into it with somebody, Serge Ibaka or somebody, and they saying it, and he called and saying, well, I think Perk needs to be suspended, taking money out your pocket and your family.
Now, we're building towards something much bigger. But first, I want to show you a series of moments, incidents that genuinely frustrated NBA players and people around the league. And now, in the streaming era, they're finally starting to push back. We're working our way toward the Jaylen Brown situation, but before we get there, I want to take you through some of the smaller events that helped lead to that point. There's a clear pattern running through all of this, one that Jalen Rose recently pointed out while talking about Stephen A. Smith, and I'm simply going to show you different pieces of what unfolded along the way. You can see it in the way he reacted to the Kyrie Irving situation, where he openly criticized Stephen A.'s approach to covering the story. But pay close attention to what Stephen A. says next, especially when the conversation shifts to his exchanges with Stephen Jackson and Matt Barnes.
I'd like to say this to you and Stacks. Feel free to come on my show. I'm happy to come on your show in front of both of y'all faces and debate everything. I love us as a people, and I'm never gonna abandon us. My point is, you're not gonna sit up there and think that you get to define what is supposed to be important for our community when I got a clue about it, which is why I got on Matt Barnes. You wanna sit up there and you wanna talk that junk about me? What did I say? Invite me on All the Smoke. You, Stephen Jackson, you wanna chirp? Invite me on. I dare you. I dare you. Let's talk issues. Don't give me emotion.
In sports or just...
I'm talking all of it.
By this point, we've all seen the pattern people associate with Stephen A. Smith. Whenever a public controversy breaks out, he's often willing to appear on someone else's platform or invite them onto his own. especially when athletes believe a media narrative about them has continued well beyond the original story. There are obvious incentives on both sides as well, because everyone understands these crossover conversations generate massive views, which also translates into more sponsorships, engagement, and revenue for the shows involved. But when Stephen A. himself was publicly criticized by Alexis Ohanian, Serena Williams' husband and the co-founder of Reddit, his response seemed noticeably different, and that's what caught so many people's attention.
Also, too, Stephen A. Smith, I think you had some marriage advice for me. Is that right? Or
Well, you know what? Listen, I did it. People, headlines are headlines. We can get into that another time, but I was hoping you were going to be here. I am not qualified. Married? Right. Oh no, not me. Well, I ain't qualified, my brother. I'm not qualified.
I was going to ask because you hadn't been married before, right?
I am married.
No, Stephen. Okay. Yeah, because I give advice to plenty of founders who want to build billion-dollar companies. And the reason I do that is because I build billion-dollar companies. Yeah. So I generally try to stay in my lane of advice.
Then we'll talk marriage advice later. I'm going 13 years strong. We got you. Alexis, thank you so much. Athlos NYC 2-night event.
When it came to that situation, Stephen A. Smith didn't really respond. He stayed completely quiet. He never invited Alexis Ohanian onto his show for the kind of face-to-face conversation he's had with so many other public figures after disagreements. Ohanian had pushed back publicly, pointing out that he spends his time building billion-dollar companies and suggesting he didn't have time to go back and forth over media debates. Stephen A. chose not to escalate the exchange, and that response caught plenty of people's attention. It's one of the reasons Jaylen Rose has criticized his approach over the years, even bringing up Stephen A.'s long-running criticism of the Dallas Cowboys, a running bit that many fans believe is more about entertainment and television than genuine dislike, helping generate attention and keep viewers engaged. For many people, that's simply part of the sports media business, and there's nothing unusual about it. But some current and former players have expressed a different concern when it comes to discussions surrounding black athletes. They have argued that repeated negative narratives can influence public perception, which may also affect endorsement opportunities and other business relationships outside of basketball. Whether people agree with that viewpoint or not, it's become a growing part of the conversation surrounding modern sports media. That brings us to what Jaylen Rose actually said. In a recent post, Rose directly criticized Stephen A. Smith, arguing that one of the most disingenuous trends in sports media is when two public figures spend days arguing online, only to turn around and invite each other onto their shows for a highly promoted discussion. Rose suggested that this kind of back and forth often feels more like chasing attention than having a genuine conversation, using Stephen A.'s well-known Cowboys routine as an example of the type of media strategy he was talking about. Rose also acknowledged that Stephen A. has earned the right to approach his career however he chooses, pointing out that he has become one of the biggest personalities in sports debate television. He even referenced the year Stephen A. and Skip Bayless dominated the debate show format on ESPN. Earlier, I showed you one example of Stephen A. bringing Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes onto his platform after facing criticism. Now, let's look at a few more moments, including what unfolded during the Jemele Hill and Draymond Green discussion. Here's what was said next.
Name came up and he spoke about a couple of things that I felt compelled to address. Even while I'm on vacation, I felt compelled to respond. You and I were pretty tight. And then after the choking incident with Rudy Gobert and the slap to Yusuf Nurkic, I upset you because I called you and said it was difficult to defend you. We've never talked since that time. You never called me and had a conversation man to man. Did I bring up the fact that you were willing to give that opportunity to Skip Bayless, but you've never given me that opportunity? You've never invited me on Draymond Green's show since we haven't spoken, privately or publicly. Name the time and place, bro. Ain't no problem for me. Anytime, any place, anywhere, bro. I bring the camera crew to you and everything. Whatever you want.
Now, let's move over to Stephen A. Smith's back and forth with Jaylen Brown and see whether he followed that same pattern once again. The same approach many people pointed to during his exchanges with Draymond Green and Jemele Hill, and even earlier with Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes. Let's take a closer look at how that situation unfolded and whether the same playbook showed up this time as well.
You want to question my ethics or whatever, name the time and place, bro. Matter of fact, don't take the place. You can take the time, not the place. We gonna do it on my set, because I ain't coming to that dungeon. That's what you want? Want to have that conversation? You want to really sit across from me and have a conversation about that?
I understand that Stephen A. Smith views this as part of the business of sports media, but a lot of people around the NBA see it differently. Their perspective is, I have a real career outside of television, and when certain things are said about me publicly, they help shape the way fans, teams, and even business partners view me. So if I agree to come on your show and address those comments directly, don't later present that appearance as if you publicly checked me. From their point of view, nobody is afraid of having the conversation. The bigger issue is how that conversation gets presented afterward, almost as if sitting down and speaking openly somehow proves one side won instead of simply allowing both people to explain their positions. That's where many believe the perception problem starts. A report gets published, unnamed sources are mentioned, the discussion happens face-to-face, and afterward the exchange is often framed as a victory rather than what it actually was, a conversation. That's one reason more athletes appear reluctant to accept those invitations today. It isn't necessarily because they don't want to talk. It's because they're concerned about how the interview may be portrayed once it's over, especially when the follow-up discussion happens without them there to respond or add more context. Jaylen Brown is one example people frequently point to. He had already appeared on Stephen A.'s platform once, yet more commentary followed afterward, leaving some observers with the impression that the conversation hadn't actually ended the story, but instead created another chapter of it. From Brown's perspective, at least according to people discussing the situation, the expectation is simple. If you have something to say it publicly, have the direct conversation, and then allow both sides to move forward instead of immediately reopening the debate for another news cycle. That's why many people believe Brown is unlikely to make another appearance. At the same time, this discussion speaks to something much bigger than one interview. It highlights the level of accountability that comes with having one of the largest platforms in sports media. Today's landscape is completely different from what it looked like a decade ago. Athletes now have direct access to millions of followers and can respond to reports within minutes through social media, podcasts, live streams, or interviews. This isn't the early 2000 teens when debate shows like Cold Pizza or First Take could often drive the conversation with very little immediate pushback. Now, the narrative can change every 15 or 20 minutes because of a tweet, an Instagram post, a live podcast, or a new reporting from another insider. A good example is how the story surrounding Allen Iverson's appearance in Australia evolved. Early reports created one impression of what had happened, but as additional information surfaced, more context became available regarding the event itself, how it had been organized, and the people involved behind the scenes. Situations like that are reminders that stories often continue developing long after the first headline is published. Ultimately, that's the biggest takeaway from this entire discussion. In today's media environment, information moves incredibly fast, and public narratives can shift just as quickly. For someone in Stephen A. Smith's position, that means every report and every source carries even greater responsibility before strong public claims are made. At the same time, athletes will always defend their names, their reputations, and their careers whenever they believe those things are being challenged. That's where this conversation really begins. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Got the Rudy Gobert and the Yusuf Nurkic incident because that's Stephen A.'s way of trying to lessen the impact of what you may say back. I'm going to throw out these negative ass things that happened with you many years ago that you've come back from, that you moved past. I'm going to throw those things out to try to gather an audience, to try to gather a crew to be on my side, a base of people to be on my side. So I'm going to throw these things out to remind these people that may have been upset that you did that because they may not like those types of things or whatever. I'm going to remind them of that so they can be on my side when I say this. A typical Stephen A thing. You know, he said we have not spoke since. I think that, you know, those things happen to be right around the time where a lot of people in the industry felt like this dude took this sharp left turn. And all of a sudden became like this, you know, you speak on Jaylen Brown. The problem I had with Stephen A and Jaylen Brown was when you called him out like a mob boss. When you sat in front of the camera and spoke as if you saw him, you was going to do something to him. That's the problem I had when speaking about Jaylen Brown. The issue that I have, and by the way, it's not a real issue because people, again, I go back to the statement I made about Shams, which these are in two completely different capacities, but get your money how you get your money, man. Like, I'm not mad at anybody for how they get their money. That's including Stephen A. So for a guy who actually, yes, what he is right about is we were pretty tight. As was Stephen A with a lot of guys, by the way. Like, that wasn't just me. I think, and being in the media space, I think we had built even more of a relationship because he is the guy in the media space. You know, when you look at him, he is right up there at the top of the chart with Charles Barkley and, you know, for the likes of people like that. Like, you are that. I'm not some hater. I'm also a truth teller. You very much so are right up there at the top, and very appreciative throughout the years of the advice given, as someone who's continued to try to elevate and learn and work in this space. So yeah, those are all facts. Just like a lot of players having a relationship with you were facts until you started to disrespect players as if you were a player. There's a fine line. And Jamel, in my